Welcome to the Toastmasters experience. My name is Evelyn. Get inspired by today's Toastmasters insights. Enjoy the show. And welcome to another episode of the Toastmasters experience. I'm excited and delighted to have the next guest on my show, Ramona Moodley. Welcome to the Toastmasters experience.
Thanks, Evelyn. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here on the show, and I've got so many questions to ask you. First, we're going to start off with the very first question I ask everyone is what motivated you to join Toastmasters, and what clubs are you currently in?
Why Toastmasters? I wanted to be a better speaker than I was before, and I'm the kind of person that I learn better from doing. Like riding a bike. I can read and read about it, but nothing quite gets you learning. Like getting on the bike, feeling what those pedals feel like, falling off, feeling the nerves, getting back on again. That to me was Toastmasters. I had all the technical things of what to do to be a good, comfortable, confident speaker on paper, but I just wasn't quite getting there. And I needed Toastmasters to be my bicycle where I could come, practice, get feedback, and really fine-tune what I was getting right and wrong.
And so how long ago did you join?
I joined in August of 2024. I'm a member of 3 clubs because the bicycle metaphor,
Yeah.
the more you ride,
Yes.
the better you get. So I'm a member of Stage Time, Harbor Diggers Daytime, and Manly Multilingual.
So you're currently in 3 clubs. So why do you want to get better at speaking?
Oh, Evelyn, this question goes back so far. My speaking journey started when I was 5 years old, believe it or not. My mom would sit with me and make me practice these speeches that she had written. And she would teach it to me with a wooden spoon so that I could enter these little speech competitions that we had going on in primary school. And so I didn't have a really good introduction to speaking as a child. But what I did see as an extremely shy, insecure little girl, I could see from a very, very young age that the kids around me that weren't shy, that could speak, that had confidence, were just getting all the good things in life. And I was feeling really left out. And even as I grew up into teenagehood and adulthood, I felt that held true. The better speakers, the more confident presenters, even if they didn't have as much as I did to back it up, were just, leaps and bounds ahead of me, getting all the opportunities in life. So that's where this desire for becoming a better speaker came from. As a child, I didn't have the Toastmasters route to go through to improve my speaking skills. And that's when I started entering beauty pageants, believe it or not.
Okay. And with the beauty pageants, did they teach you how to speak or what? Obviously it is about beauty and poise and I guess confidence. So is that where you learned how to speak?
Indirectly, yes, I learned to speak, not because they taught me, but because I could watch what the winners were doing. It was like a high concentration of people who were good at these things, good at projecting confidence and presence. And I would just watch and absorb every little thing they were doing and then mimic it when I would have my go to try. And I would do this all in this, high pressure situation. You'd also get a lot of feedback back. And when you learn to do these things in high pressure situations, then outside of a high pressure situation and day to day, that all becomes easy.
How did the pageants, how did that teach you how did you communicate after you competed in the pageants? How do you think your speaking was evolving?
Oh, wow. So I'll say this. I did pageants for 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
from the time I was 12 to 22. So I've had a very long history of it. And so you can imagine how much practice, how much time I spent in the ring learning the skill. I will say this, I am a very slow learner. So it doesn't really show, I don't think, that I've spent 10 years practicing this, but the before and after was absolutely incredible. And because of my pageant experience and this kind of presence and confidence boot camp that it put me through,
Yeah.
I really believe that it opened up my whole career for me in a way that wouldn't have been possible before.
Wow. And also to learn so young too. Because when you said when you first started, was it 12 or 13?
12.
Wow. After the pageant experience, what did you do after that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about the pageants. I loved the learning side of it. What I didn't like was the celebrity part at all. There was no part of me that wanted to be a socialite, be on TV, be a presenter. That's usually the route that people go. I wanted to be a career professional, a career woman. So I studied engineering, electrical engineering, and graduated with that. But
Hmm.
my dream was always to go into corporate.
Hmm.
And because of my pageant experience, I landed the job of my dreams in every way. I worked for a global consulting company called McKinsey, and they hired me into the Johannesburg office after I graduated. And uh, I wouldn't have gotten that job without my pageant experience, that's for sure.
Wow. And you would think that they're so different. You know what I mean? Pageant to business consultant. But the high pressure that you were talking about, it seems it was actually quite a comfortable sort of, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like a transition.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel like I got a head start on the preparation for that high stakes career because of my prior experience. And, in that role, I was very, very young. You're, 22, 23, and you're
Mm.
having conversations and meetings with CEOs, and you're expected to hold your own in these conversations. And you're young, 22, 23. To be able to converse with big CEOs of huge corporations is scary. But
Mm.
in those moments, I would think back to the scarier things that I had done. Talking on stage in front of millions of people on live TV wearing a bikini. I mean, a one-on-one with a CEO is not that bad when you've done the bikini on TV.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that just totally freaks me out. If anyone were to see me in a bikini, in front of millions of people, wow, I would just die, absolutely die. So, no, definitely. After you got the job at McKinsey, where did you go from there? Because I know that you were transferred somewhere. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So McKinsey, after you work for them for 2 years, they pay for you to go do your MBA anywhere in the world. And I applied to do mine in the US and ended up at Berkeley in
Hmm.
San Francisco.
Hmm.
And at that time, my husband managed to transfer with his company to the US too. So we were able to go and do that together. So I spent 2 years on my MBA and then rejoined McKinsey in the San Francisco office.
With the consulting work that you did at McKinsey, were there some speaking skills that you felt that you needed or that you lacked or that you were good at?
When I worked at McKinsey, the difference in communicating, I think, from my prior pageant experience was pageant experience communication was very reactive. People would ask you questions on the spot and you're expected to answer, very much like table topics
Hmm.
style communicating. When I joined corporate, I had the ability then to craft a full message from nothing into something. So we,
Wow.
we we would join these companies that had these big, big problems to solve. And it started with a problem and it ended with a well-articulated solution. That's what they were
Mm-hmm.
paying for ultimately. And the difference was that now I was involved all the way from the beginning, from the problem to the well-articulated solution. And it was a far more integrated way of trying to communicate. It was about, before even fully jumping into the problem, it's about starting to think about the communication that you're going to give at the end of the engagement and factoring that communication into the way that you problem solve. The problem solving and the communication are very, very integrated. And I think a lot of people separate those two out completely, where they think you solve the problem, then you figure out how you're going to tell the story. But you actually need to figure out the story far earlier before you even start trying to solve the problem. Because at the end of the day, problem solving is all about moving people. And we move people with stories and the way we communicate.
So working at McKinsey, you ended up moving to Australia. So why did you move to Australia?
Yes, we left the US in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and my husband got transferred over here, and we came to check it out and give it a trial go before deciding whether we should move. And honestly, it was such an easy decision to make because there's so much to love about Australia. And so we ended up making the move in November of 2023.
And when you moved to Australia, when did you decide that you wanted to join Toastmasters?
You know, what I really missed, Evelyn, is I really thrive within these high stakes situations to learn. And I had that with pageants for 10 years, and then with McKinsey for pretty much another 10 years. And then I left them and did a little bit of other career stuff by myself before moving over to Australia. But I was missing that environment of challenge, of getting on the bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I still wasn't done with perfecting this art of confidence and speaking. I still felt after McKinsey that I was doing all these things right on paper, but I just wasn't connecting with people. And
Okay.
so for me, Toastmasters was the place for me to go because I could put myself in that intense situation to keep progressing with my communication skills. But then also it had this double whammy of I could find community with like-minded people, especially because I left all of my community in the US.
You left your heart in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. I used to live in San Francisco as well, so I get it. I might edit that out, but I might actually keep that in. It's kind of cute. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've moved to Australia. You decide to join Toastmasters, but I also want to ask because I know that you have a YouTube channel. You're doing videos as well. So when did you start your video channel? Was that in America or did you start that here in Australia?
I started making YouTube videos in the US before I moved over here. And it's actually one of the reasons that I said, no, I need to join Toastmasters. I was making these YouTube videos and I was shooting them by myself with no one else around. But before I would hit record, I would get so nervous,
Oh.
like debilitatingly nervous, even though there was no one else around. And I said to myself, my goal is to help people. To help people, I need my voice to be heard. I can't be nervous about this. Like something has to change.
So that's one of the reasons you joined Toastmasters then was to help with your YouTube videos. And has that helped? Has that helped you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I still get nervous, but it's almost like a nervous excitement versus debilitating nerves.
Right. Now, I want to ask you this because I don't know if you're going to remember, but can you describe the very first time you actually spoke at a Toastmasters meeting? Your first speech. What was that experience like for you?
I do remember the first time I spoke because it wasn't that long ago. and I did my icebreaker speech. I was like incredibly nervous before I went up there. And because you're in the club and it's new and you see all these other speakers and they just seem to be getting it all right. All of these things you aspire to do, they're doing. And you see the gap between you and them. And now you have to go up and say a speech. I felt like the bar was really high and I felt like there was a lot of pressure on me. But when I got up there, the weirdest thing happened when I started talking. When I heard my own voice come out of my mouth for the first time, and I saw the faces of the people sitting there, and when I actually looked at them and saw them as people supporting me, all of the nerves went away. And I felt like I was having a conversation with friends.
It sounds to me like you found home, like you found the place that you needed to be.
Yes, I found the place that I needed to be at that time. The timing of this all was just perfect.
Fantastic. And that just made, after that, you just joined 3 clubs. So,
Yes, I was hooked.
Yes,
I
yes.
wanted more.
Yeah,
more.
you wanted more. That's fantastic. I love that. I love that. So I want to ask you about stage fright, because obviously you've done pageants and you just shared now that there was a bit of a stage fright moment when you recorded your videos. Is there anything now that you've been in Toastmasters for a little bit? Is there anything now that you prepare yourself for to get rid of the stage fright? And also maybe share from your pageant experience. Was there something that you were taught before going on stage?
I wish there was more to say around the pageant nerves. I think the nerves there were so much worse because you're relying on your physical being walking across the stage. There's so many things that can go wrong. You're being judged on everything, the way you look, the way you walk, the way you talk. And it was just like so much to optimize for there. Honestly, the nerves are there with you, and you've just got to walk through it and smile through it and hope for the best.
Okay. Yeah.
But since then, with speaking in recently, what I picked up since joining Toastmasters actually is it's not about me. It's about the message. And when I made that switch in my head around the intention is not to make a good impression about me as a person, but more to deliver the message, which is the gift, the actual gift. When I could separate the message or the gift from myself, then the nerves just went away and was just replaced with excitement. I'm so excited to share my message. That's it.
And I know that you've actually done quite well because you will be competing in the next district conference. Can you tell me about the excitement behind that, or how you're preparing for your upcoming district speech?
Yes, I am so excited about this. I never thought this would happen for me. I wanted to do the competitions from the time I heard about it at Toastmasters. And I never thought this would happen for me right now. But I'm really excited to be in the competition circuit just because of the learning opportunities. The higher the pressure, the faster you learn.
Right.
The faster I learn. As far as preparation goes, I do all the things. I have to do it 100% or not at all. So I have a fantastic team of coaches that are helping me as I prep and helping me fine-tune some of my weaknesses that I came into Toastmasters with.
Can you reveal any sort of tips that they've taught you, or something they've made you see a different way, or something that was a bit of an aha moment?
Oh, wow. The biggest aha for me was figuring out that my speech is not just a story that I tell. It is a message that needs to be heard and felt by every member in the audience. They need to hear the message, see themselves in it, and be moved by it in some way. And that was a massive shift for me because I just thought My job was just to tell a good story in an eloquent, confident way. And that is so not what it was. My first speech started off that way, and now it's turned into something that is speaking to the audience members, each audience member. So my next iteration for division is to focus even more on that. I think with every iteration, it's like I make it applicable to 10% of the audience. Then the next take, it's applicable to 50%. Now for district, I really want to take it up to the next level that anybody who listens to the speech can see a little bit of themselves in it.
If you do win at district, you will be put in the draw for going to the next level to go to America. Have you thought about that, or you don't want to think about that? Is that too far to think about?
Oh, I think about it in that it's so exciting to think that that might happen, but I
Yeah.
don't want to think about it because I don't want it to get in the way of my prep. I
Right.
just want to I want to give my all to this next milestone.
That's very exciting. So that particular competition is in May, the third weekend in May. So you have about, what, 6 weeks to prepare?
Yes,
Yes,
correct.
6 weeks to prepare. And so have you planned to visit lots of different clubs, or are you just going to be working with your coaches?
I am debating which approach I should go with because I've heard that people have done mixed things. Some go and tour their speeches around multiple clubs, some keep them within their group of coaches. I feel like right now I'm planning for a half and half strategy. Very thoughtful about where I speak and then relying very heavily on the coaches.
It's exciting. So, because you've only been in Toastmasters, what, not even a year. Is that correct? Did I do my maths right?
Yeah, about 7 months.
Wow, 7 months. So you were able to complete your level two then. You completed that right away. I guess did all of your speeches so that you could compete.
Yes, it was very helpful to be a member of three clubs because I just spoke at all of them back to back to back.
Okay. You do love that high pressure. I love that. So the current job that you're doing right now, does that have to do with communication?
Yes, yes, it does. I started a company called Master the Toolkit. And what that refers to is when I was at McKinsey in consulting, there was this phrase thrown around a lot. You need to master the toolkit. You need to master the toolkit. And the toolkit were the skills that it took to be really successful in corporate. And they wanted to get you to that point where you could do all of these things like problem solving and communicating, all the things that it takes to function well in corporate. They wanted you to get there as quickly as possible. And in consulting, they're really good at building those skills in people very quickly. But I started Master the Toolkit to democratize that skill set outside of consulting so that I could teach people the problem solving, the presenting skills that management consultants are known for if they don't go into consulting to learn those skills there.
Okay. So, and you can easily, the skills that you're learning at Toastmasters, that sounds like you can really use that together.
Exactly, exactly. Toastmasters plugs into my life in so many ways because my job now as a corporate trainer and facilitator is talking and connecting. And Toastmasters helps me do that personally, but then it also feeds into the materials that I create, the message, the learnings that I try to share with other people.
Has there been something in Toastmasters that has surprised you?
I knew coming into Toastmasters that I was joining a community. I could sense that from the first meeting I went to where I visited. But I never understood how deep and how quickly that depth is built within Toastmasters. I started entering the competitions, and from the time I said, I think I want to enter the competitions, I had people in my first club kind of rallying around me and connecting me with people to help me make that happen, knowing that I needed to complete two levels to even compete. And then after I joined two other clubs and then started progressing slowly through the competition system, I was collecting all of these people helping me, rooting for me, like helping me connect all of these dots to make this very ambitious goal that I had happen for me. I really didn't expect that to happen. I didn't expect that many people to be so helpful and excited and serving.
Different things surprise different people that I've spoken to, but that is one thing that they've, like the support of the organization has surprised a lot of people. So being in pageants and also working for Mackenzie, what does communication mean to you?
Wow, that's a really big question. And the word that came to mind was everything to me. It was this communication to me. I felt like my world without good communication was dark. And communication was the light in my life. It helped me go from this invisible person who had no power to leave a mark on the world and be seen in some way that your existence mattered to someone who could do something, who could influence and move people to act. And it was everything.
And now that you're in Toastmasters, I guess it's evolving and changing.
Definitely, definitely. I don't think you can ever be finished with communicating. That's why they say the art of communicating. I think this will always be something that I'm working on because you can always connect more with people, get deeper, connect faster.
So if anybody wants to contact you, what is the best way for them to contact you, Ramona?
I would love for people to connect with me via LinkedIn. I make posts on a weekly basis about leadership and communicating lessons learned from my consulting days. I have a YouTube channel and you can search me there at Ramona Moodley. I have a bunch of videos there on getting into consulting, the consulting toolkit, and communicating effectively. And on my website, I offer training programs and one-on-one coaching, and that's www.masterthetoolkit.com.
Fantastic. And I will have all of these, all of your contact details in the show notes. Ramona, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today and finding out about how the pageants work. And, I had absolutely no idea, like the high pressure, but I do know there is high pressure, but that you did it for 10 years. That's absolutely amazing. But I do want to ask you one last question. What advice would you give someone who is considering joining Toastmasters?
I don't know if this is advice, Evelyn, but just what are you waiting for? Please join. We're waiting to welcome you into this amazing community, to learn from you and grow with you.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Ramona. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your company. Please tune in next time to the Toastmasters Experience.